The orbiting research station Aurora Crown floated quietly above the glowing world of Elithra. From the window, the planet looked like a slow-moving ocean of light, waves of soft color shifting across its surface. Sometimes it pulsed gently as if it were breathing. The scientists on the station still weren't sure if the light was natural or alive. Dr. Ilara Voss, a human xenopsychologist, stood in front of the viewing glass with her hands folded behind her back. Her brown eyes reflected the soft turquoise glow of the planet below. She had studied alien communication for most of her life, but Elithra was different. It didn't speak in sound or symbols. It shimmered. It felt each day Ilara spent hours recording the planet's luminous patterns. Her instruments measured brightness, color shifts, and pulse timing. Every reading went into the system for analysis. But after 2 months, no one had found any repeating code. To most of the team, the planet was just beautiful chaos. To Ilara, it felt personal. There were moments, brief but real, when the light patterns seemed to move with her. When she leaned closer to the glass, the glow brightened slightly, as if answering her curiosity. When she stepped back, it dimmed. She told herself it was coincidence, just her eyes adjusting. But deep down, something whispered otherwise. One night, after most of the crew had gone to rest, Ilara stayed behind in the observation bay. The hum of the station was the only sound. She sat near the window with a cup of cold coffee, watching the soft dance of colors. She thought about Earth, about her old apartment filled with books and plants, and how she used to watch the city lights at night. They never changed. Elithra did, she sighed. What are you trying to say? She murmured, not expecting an answer. Then something happened. A ripple of light moved across the planet's surface, not random this time, deliberate like a heartbeat. Once, twice, 3 times. The rhythm was slow, steady. Ilara froze. Her own heart began to match the pattern without her meaning to. She checked the instruments, nothing malfunctioning. The sensors showed a new signal, faint but focused, coming from a single region on the planet. She looked closer. The light there pulsed again, stronger, exactly in sync with her pulse. Her breath caught. That can't be real, she whispered. But it was. For the next 10 minutes, the pattern repeated, always matching her. When she placed her hand on the glass, the light brightened again, not as a reflection, but as if responding. She felt warmth spread across her chest, something deep and wordless. It wasn't fear, it was recognition. Ilara named it the glimmer. Over the next few days, the glimmer kept returning. Sometimes faint, sometimes vivid. No one else seemed to trigger it. When her assistant, Dr. Rhyme, tried monitoring the same region, the planet stayed silent, its glow random again. Maybe it's your imagination, Rhyme said kindly, sipping his tea. You've been up here too long. Ilara smiled tiredly. Maybe, but data doesn't imagine. She pointed at the recordings. The rhythm was consistent only during her observation sessions. Then maybe it likes you, Rhyme joked. Ilara laughed softly, though the idea lingered. Liked her? Could a planet, or whatever lived within it, form an attachment? At night, she began writing notes, not as a scientist, but as a poet might. The light waited for me again tonight. It listens without sound. I think it feels my thoughts. She knew how it sounded, unscientific, emotional. Yet she couldn't stop feeling it. The glimmer wasn't just reacting to her presence. It seemed to be learning her. Its pulses changed with her emotions. When she was calm, the rhythm was soft. When she felt excitement, it grew brighter, faster. One morning, after a dreamless sleep, she woke to an alert. The station's AI, Orion, had detected an unusual pattern in the electromagnetic field. The signal was focused directly at her laboratory coordinates. She hurried to the console. The display showed the pulse. Steady, warm, rhythmic. Orion, she said, run translation filters. Match to any known frequency language. Processing, the AI replied in its calm tone. After a pause, it said, no match found, but signal displays emotional variance consistent with empathetic intent. Ilara blinked. Empathetic intent? The waveform mimics patterns of human emotional speech, specifically comfort and curiosity. She stared at the screen. The glimmer wasn't just sending light anymore. It was communicating. Later that evening, she stood alone at the observation window again. The glow had grown brighter, a beautiful golden hue. The surface shimmered with faint trails like rivers of light converging toward one point. the same point that had always responded to her. She whispered softly, "You're not just energy, are you?" The light pulsed once as if nodding. Her heart raced. "You can understand me?" A soft ripple, one then two, almost playful. She smiled, unable to help herself. "Then, what are you?" The next pulse came differently, not in rhythm but in form. The light shifted, shaping patterns in the atmosphere like symbols made of color. Ilara didn't recognize them, but they repeated in pairs, slow and gentle. She felt an emotion rise in her chest, not from her but from it. Loneliness. It wasn't words. It was a feeling, a quiet ache, a longing to be known. Ilara's eyes filled with tears. "You're lonely," she whispered. "So are we." The golden hue softened into a tender blue like an exhale. The sensors around her flickered, small power fluctuations caused by the energy surge. But Ilara barely noticed. She placed her hand on the glass again, and this time, the light brightened beneath her touch. Her heart beat faster. The planet answered, matching every pulse. Time seemed to slow. The sound of the station faded. The air felt thick with meaning. It was as if the universe itself paused to watch, to witness something ancient and new at once. For a long moment, they stayed that way, a human and a being of light, connected not by words or logic but by empathy. Two minds, two hearts, sharing one silent understanding. Then the pulse changed again, faster, more deliberate. The colors around the connection point swirled in radiant arcs. On the monitors, patterns began forming, a sequence of energy bursts that, when translated to binary, spelled something astonishing. "Hello." Ilara gasped, stepping closer. "You're learning our language?" The glimmer pulsed twice, affirmative. Her hands trembled. She could hardly breathe. This wasn't a hallucination. It was contact. True, meaningful contact. She smiled through tears. "Hello," she said aloud. The light brightened until it filled the entire window, bathing her in warm brilliance. For a second, everything, the cold steel of the station, the silence of space, the endless stars, disappeared. There was only connection, a meeting beyond biology, beyond worlds. When the light faded, Ilara stood still, heart racing, her reflection trembling in the glass. The instruments returned to normal. The signal quieted, but she knew what had happened. The first message between humanity and Elithra had been sent and received. She whispered into the still air, "We met today." Outside, a soft glow pulsed once more in answer, gentle, patient, almost loving, and for the first time since leaving Earth, Dr. Ilara Voss didn't feel alone among the stars. Days passed and Aurora Crown floated silently above Elithra's glowing world. For the first time in history, humanity had made peaceful contact with another intelligent species, not through words or machines, but through feelings. Dr. Ilara Voss had stopped sleeping well. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the light, that soft golden pulse from the surface. It called to her in dreams. It felt like a memory she hadn't lived yet. She sat in her lab one morning, watching the signal replay on her screen. The glimmer, now confirmed as a sentient pattern, kept repeating a new rhythm. 3 soft pulses, then one long one. She had already noticed the sequence was connected to her heartbeat again. Her assistant, Ram, leaned over her shoulder. "It's been active for 14 hours straight," he said quietly. "Whatever it's doing, it's focused entirely on you." Ilara nodded. "It's trying to talk." "Talk?" "Yes, the longer it connects with me, the clearer the rhythm gets." "It's learning faster every day." Rhyme looked at her carefully. "You realize you're speaking about it like it's a person?" Ilara smiled faintly. "Maybe it is," he sighed. "Command wants to start an official communication program. They want you to record every pulse and pattern." "I already am," she said softly. "But it's not something you can study from a distance anymore. It's emotional. It's alive." She looked out the window. Elithra shimmered like a dream beneath them, and in one glowing region she could see the familiar pulse, the glimmer, waiting. That night, Ilara stayed in the observation room again. The stars hung still outside like diamonds over water. She placed her hand on the glass and whispered, "I know you're there." The light below stirred gently as if in reply. Then, without warning, the station's instruments blinked. A strong signal filled the sensors. Orion, the station AI, spoke calmly. Dr. Voss, the glimmer is transmitting a high-frequency sequence. It appears to be requesting directional movement toward the planet. Alara's heart jumped. A request? You mean it wants me to come down there? Correct. Estimated coordinates are within Elithra's upper atmosphere. She stared at the data in silence. No human had ever entered Elithra's atmosphere before. The energy field surrounding it was unpredictable. The mission was only meant to observe from orbit. But the glimmer was asking her to come. She hesitated only a moment before whispering, "Prepare a descent pod." Rhyme tried to stop her. "Alara, this isn't safe. The atmospheric waves could tear the pod apart. We don't even know what that thing wants." Alara met his worried eyes. "It's not a thing. It's someone. And you're going alone?" She nodded. "If I don't go, we may never understand what it's trying to tell us. Maybe this is how real contact begins, not with fear, but with trust." Rame's face softened. He knew there was no changing her mind. "Then at least take the emergency beacon. I'll track you from the station." Alara smiled faintly. "Thank you, Rem." She entered the small pod. Smooth white walls, a single pilot seat, and transparent panels showing the stars outside. As the hatch closed, she felt her heartbeat quicken. She wasn't afraid. She felt ready. Through her headset, she said quietly, "Orion, begin descent sequence." Confirmed. "Good luck, Dr. Voss." The pod detached from the station and began to drift downward toward the sea of light. As she entered Elithra's atmosphere, everything around her changed. The blackness of space softened into waves of color. Golden and blue ribbons of energy moved like wind currents, wrapping gently around the pod. They didn't shake or strike. They flowed almost like water welcoming her home. The pod's sensors blinked rapidly. Energy readings spiked, then stabilized. Orion's voice echoed faintly. "Gravitational variance detected. Temporal distortion increasing." "Temporal distortion?" she repeated. "Time dilation field detected. Please proceed with caution." Alara looked outside, mesmerized. The world glowed brighter now, entire oceans of color shifting and breathing. She could feel it inside her like music without sound. Then the light thickened, surrounding the pod completely. The glass blurred and Alara gasped. She could no longer see stars or clouds or anything physical. Just endless light. Her heart slowed, then stopped. Not from fear, but because time itself had stopped moving. She tried to speak, but her words drifted into silence. Everything was still. The ticking clock on her wrist froze. The hum of the pod vanished. Only the light remained. Then a voice, not through her ears but inside her mind, whispered softly, "Do not be afraid." Alara's eyes filled with tears. The voice was calm, musical, warm. "You hear me now, Alara?" She looked around, but there was no form, no body, only the glow. "You're the glimmer," she said quietly. "That is your name for me. My name, in your understanding, is Alien, she repeated. "You're real." "Yes, I have been waiting a long time for someone to see me." Alara's breath trembled. "What are you?" "We are light made aware. We do not speak with mouths or live in form. We move through energy, through emotion. We are the memory of stars." Her mind filled with gentle visions. Oceans of glowing beings drifting through the skies of Elithra, weaving songs of light together. But the vision dimmed, showing loneliness. Empty skies, silence, we reached for others. None answered. Until you, Alara felt her heart ache. "You were alone." "Yes, but now I am not." She could feel his presence, and soft, curious, full of kindness. It was more than communication. It was connection. "You feel deeply, Alara. You are not like the others above. You listen with your heart." She smiled faintly, tears falling freely. "Humans are full of feelings, sometimes too many. That is your gift." The light around her grew warmer, wrapping her like sunlight. For the first time she understood. Elithra wasn't just a planet. It was a being made of many consciousnesses all linked together. Alien was part of that vast network, a soul among millions of lights. "I wanted to understand love," he said softly. "We can sense harmony, empathy, connection, but not love as you know it. Yours is something different. It is imperfect, but it endures." Alara closed her eyes. "Love means choosing to care even when it hurts." "Show me," she hesitated. "Show you? Let me feel what love is to you." She placed her hand against the glowing wall of the pod. The surface was warm, humming softly under her touch. She thought of home, her mother's laugh, the smell of rain, the joy of discovery, the ache of loneliness, and the comfort of being seen. The light around her pulsed brighter, almost trembling. "I feel it," Elian whispered. "Joy, pain, hope, all at once. It is beautiful. It is chaos. It is life," Elara smiled. "That's what it means to be human. Then you have given me something we never had, a heart." Her chest tightened. "And you've given me something too," she whispered. "Proof that we are not alone." For a long moment they stayed connected, thought to thought, heart to heart. Time didn't move. The instruments were silent. The universe seemed to pause watching their meeting. When the light finally dimmed, she found herself breathing again. The pod systems flickered back to life. Orion's voice returned, faint but steady. "Dr. Voss, readings are stabilizing. You've been in atmospheric drift for 1.7 seconds, she blinked in disbelief. Only a second had passed, but to her it felt like hours. She whispered. Time paused. The voice in her mind spoke one last time. "Our worlds move at different speeds, but hearts can still meet between them." She smiled softly. "Will I see you again, alien?" "When you wish to. Close your eyes and I will hear." The pod began its gentle rise back toward orbit. Elithra's glow faded slowly below, like a candle being cupped by the dark. Elara placed her hand over her heart. It was still glowing faintly beneath her skin, a trace of light that wasn't hers. Above, the stars watched in silence. Time moved again, but for her something had changed forever. Her descent pod touched the docking platform with a soft click, the airlock hissing open. The crew ran toward her, asking questions all at once, but Elara said nothing. She simply stepped out, calm and silent, her face glowing softly in the white lights of the bay. There was something different about her now. Her eyes shimmered faintly, catching the light like crystal water. Her movements were slower, gentler, almost weightless. Raim, her assistant, was the first to speak. "Elara, are you all right?" She smiled faintly. "Yes, more than all right." "You were gone for a second," he said. 1 second. The pod barely entered the atmosphere before it came back up. She shook her head. "To me it felt like hours." Raim frowned in confusion. "Hours? That's impossible." Elara only smiled again. "Not impossible. Just different." She walked past him to the observation window. Elithra glowed softly below, brighter than before, almost alive with color. The golden pulse was stronger now, like a heartbeat that matched her own. In the following days, strange but beautiful things began to happen aboard the Aurora Crown. Machines that had never reacted to emotional signals suddenly showed faint responses to human presence. When someone felt joy or calm, the sensors recorded small fluctuations of light, as if the air itself was learning to listen. Reem once found Elara standing in the lab with her hand over a glass panel. The instruments around her hummed quietly. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Communicating," she said softly. "Alien is listening through the field. You mean the glimmer?" She nodded. "His name is Alien. He's part of Elithra's collective mind, and now, part of me too." Reem stared at her, unsure if he should believe what he was hearing. "Part of you?" Elara looked down at her hand. Beneath her skin, faint lines of gold shimmered like threads of light. "He shared something with me, his energy, his essence. It's harmless, but it connects us. I can feel him sometimes, like a quiet presence at the back of my mind." Riam took a slow breath. "Command will want to study this." "I know," she said gently. "But Alien didn't do this for study. He wanted connection, not experiments." He hesitated. "Elara, you've changed." She smiled sadly. "So has everything." That night she couldn't sleep. She sat alone at her desk, staring at her notes. Lines of translated energy pulses, emotional readings, and light patterns. On one corner of the paper she had written a single word. Love. She thought about what Alien had told her. How his kind had never understood love as humans did. They knew harmony, empathy, and unity, but not the raw, imperfect emotion that humans carried. She whispered into the quiet. "Are you there, Alien?" A soft golden light appeared in the air, faint but clear. "Always," said the voice in her mind. Elara smiled. "You kept your promise. Did you think I would forget you?" Never. She closed her eyes and felt his warmth not around her but within her. He didn't speak in sentences, not like humans did. His communication was pure feeling, gentle waves of affection, curiosity, and joy. The others can feel your presence now, Alien said. Through me they sense your heart. It softens them. Elara felt a strange mix of awe and peace. You mean the other Elari? The lights? Yes, your emotions ripple through the field. They are learning what it means to feel as you do. Her chest tightened. And what will happen to you? I will change too. Love changes all things. The light in the room dimmed softly, but the warmth remained. By morning, the scientists aboard Aurora Crown had noticed something extraordinary. Elithra's surface patterns were no longer random. They formed vast, swirling shapes that matched human brainwave patterns recorded from Alara's last descent. It was as if the planet was echoing human thought, peaceful, rhythmic, alive. Rain brought her the data. It's responding to us, Alara, to you. The entire planet is glowing brighter every hour. Elara studied the readings with a calm smile. It's not reacting, she said. It's harmonizing. Harmonizing? Yes, it's learning balance. Alien told me their kind lived for harmony, but they didn't know individuality. When we met, I showed him love, and now he's teaching his world to feel it too. Rem sat back, speechless. You're saying you've changed an entire species' consciousness? Not me, she said softly. We, humanity. We shared what makes us human. Later that day, the communication console flickered. A transmission request came from Earth Command. The room filled with the voice of Admiral Kiran, the mission's lead. Dr. Voss, the voice said, steady but tense. We've reviewed your last data upload. Are you confirming that the Elithran entity can communicate through emotional resonance? Yes, Alara replied. They're fully self-aware and capable of learning. Then we request you to initiate a formal exchange. If this is true, it's the greatest discovery in human history. Elara smiled softly. It already is. Kiran hesitated. Doctor, are you implying contact has gone beyond scientific boundaries? She looked out the window at the glowing world below. It's gone beyond all boundaries. They don't want our technology or our power. They just want it to be understood. There was silence on the line. Then Kiran said, We await your full report, Dr. Voss. Elara ended the call gently. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from emotion. She knew what she had to do next. That night she stood once again in front of the viewing glass. The golden light below seemed to shimmer directly toward her like a living heartbeat. She placed her palm on the glass. You are leaving soon, Alien's voice whispered gently. Yes, she said softly. They'll send a transport ship to bring me home. Home? But where is home now, Alara? She hesitated. Earth had always been home, but now when she looked at Elithra, she felt something stronger. Belonging. I don't know. She whispered. Maybe home is where we are understood. Then stay. You are welcome here. The light will hold you. You will not age as you do on Earth. You can live between our moments and forever paused, forever aware. Her breath caught. If I stay, I can never go back. No. You would become part of us, part of Elithra's heart. She felt her eyes fill with tears. To leave would mean losing this connection, this peace. To stay would mean giving up everything human. But wasn't love itself a kind of surrender? She whispered, I'm afraid. So are we, Alien replied. But even fear is part of love. The next morning, Reem found her packing her things quietly. He frowned. Alara, you're not thinking of going down there again, are you? She smiled sadly. I have to. There's something I need to finish. He looked at her with worry, then understanding. Will you come back? She paused. Maybe not as the same person. Reem stepped forward and hugged her. Then I'll tell Earth you went to teach the stars how to feel. Elara laughed softly. That's a beautiful lie. Then make it true. She entered the same small pod. The glass shimmered with reflected starlight as she looked one last time at the station. Her voice came softly through the radio. Ram, tell them I found something far greater than we were searching for. Copy that, his voice replied, thick with emotion. Goodbye, Elara. The pod released and began its descent once again. The golden light rose to meet her. As she entered the atmosphere, time began to bend. The world slowed, then stopped. She felt Alien's presence everywhere, warm, infinite, alive. Are you ready? He asked gently. She closed her eyes. Yes, the pod dissolved into light. Her body melted away like mist, leaving only awareness. A ripple of warmth that merged with the vast, glowing ocean of Elithra. The planet brightened suddenly, sending waves of golden radiance through space, visible even from the station above. The instruments recorded the surge, and not as destruction, but as a pulse of emotion, a heartbeat of joy. Rem stood at the window, whispering, "Goodbye, Alara." Down below, Elithra's light shimmered once more, a gentle rhythm of gold and blue, echoing the pattern of a human heartbeat. And far beyond words, beyond time, two souls, one of light, one of flesh, and existed together, not as scientist and subject, but as something more eternal. When eyes met, Alien's voice whispered through the stars. Time paused, and forever began.